Hi, it's Scott, ROCKFILE, back with another podcast review. Going to talk about the new Via Vision edition of the 1963 classic, Jason and the Argonauts. This is a region-free edition, even though on the back of the box it says Region B. It is only on Blu-ray, no 4K. Sorry about that. That's why I went ahead and picked it up, because unless any of these, the Ray Harryhausen movies, get full 4K restorations, this is probably about the best we're going to get. This comes in a hard case with a 3D lenticular cover that's really, really cool. Also has some art cards and a little envelope inside. You get an oversized Blu-ray case in that hard box with the Blu-ray. It's got a bunch of extras on it, and the movie looks like the other two Sinbad movies I've watched recently. Good for what it is. It's a 1080p 2K version of the films. I don't think they've gotten any kind of 4K restoration. They're grainy, much grainier at certain times based on, the layers of film that they use to create the special effects they use. All of these are basically, all the Sinbad movies and Jason and the Argonauts are demo reels for what Ray Harryhausen could do with special effects. But this one of all of them is a real movie in between. They were making a real sandals and swords kind of epic here, where a guy goes on a great quest. The original title was about the Golden Fleece. It's based on that old Greek poem. And it's a good story. It's an interesting story. They find the strongest people. There's an introduction to Hercules in here and all that kind of stuff. It's well acted and filmed like an old swashbuckling classic. But this was 1963, so we were starting to get into some modern film techniques. A lot of things filmed on location, some beautiful stuff. I really wish these movies would get the full 4K restoration, but they're probably going to have to go back and clean up some of the special effects and things like that. And that's a very, very costly thing to do. Just restoring these in 4K, I don't know how much better they would look, blown up bigger. It's grainy film from back in the day. All of the Sinbad movies and this one look very similar. Not to say that it looks bad. There's some rough parts of it, but it looks like you remember. We watched these on VHS back in school days. I've talked before in podcasts that we did some rocking chair Friday night things for charity, where you're supposed to stay up all night and raise money for a charity, and you sign up people for that. And to keep us awake, they watched movies, at least until about 3 or 4 in the morning, and then they started letting people sleep until everybody kind of passed out. But we watched some rated R movies that we probably shouldn't have later in the evening, but in the early evening, they'd start with Sinbad and the Eye of the Tiger, or The Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, or Jason and the Argonauts. So I grew up with these movies, and revisiting them as an adult, watching them as just a movie, this is probably the best one of all of them. 1963, they came about it going like, we're going to make this movie. Now we have these new special effects. We'll just do those scenes differently than how we would have done them in the past. From the crab scene to the animated skeleton scene, these are iconic scenes that we remember even if you've never seen the movie. You've seen it in other things, clips of things, whatever. Stop motion animation and dynamation, the stuff he was doing were superimposing stop motion animated things into the frame with the actual actors, getting the actors to swing swords and stuff to make it look like real, or like they were fighting a giant crab and things like that. It wasn't just articulating the stop motion animation, but it was integrating the two that was new, that he was really taking to all new levels with these movies. This is the one he considered his best. There's a lot of interviews on all 3 of these editions. I didn't get all 4. Via Vision put out 4 Blu-rays of the 3 major Sinbad movies and this, all the Ray Harryhausen stuff. The only one I didn't get was Eye of the Tiger, because it's not one of my favorites. But the other 3 I've enjoyed very much, and this is probably the best of the 3. During the extras, he's interviewed by John Landis. He's interviewed by himself. He's interviewed with some of his creations. There's legacy featurettes. There's a very long one on this one, about an hour-long documentary, the Harryhausen Chronicles, narrated by Leonard Nimoy, Spock. I've said in many podcasts, some of these foreign editions are worth it to get all these extras. This is a treasure trove of behind-the-scenes stuff with Ray Harryhausen while he was still alive, talking about how they had to put an articulated skeleton into a real crab shell to make it look like it was real and moving. And the painstaking way that stop motion was done, even today, it's an art form that's slowly getting lost. Anyway, if you're a fan of these films, until they get a giant 4K restoration, it's in 1.66 format. It looks good, rough in places, beautiful in other places. At points, there was like, that could be a 4K right there. Then other scenes like, okay. Nothing ever looked low resolution, but grainier or dimmer or whatever, depending on how many layers of film it used, they composited to make that scene. But overall, I thought the acting and the story, and I was amazed at how quick it moved, like the montage of them finding the crew, and they introduce even Hercules in this film. You just get to see them very quickly. Other movies would have taken 20 minutes to do what they do in about 2 minutes, and that's very modern filmmaking that I thought. By the end of the film, I was fully invested in this, whether or not he was going to complete his mission, this long quest. Very excited about Christopher Nolan's Odyssey that's coming this summer, because it could be as great as some of these movies are for their time. Imagine what we could do today. I'm surprised nobody has tried to do a modern, real, good Sinbad. I guess they would probably CG the crap out of it and it wouldn't look good. So here's a note to Hollywood. You want to make some money? Take one of these old movies, the Jason and the Argonauts or one of the Sinbad movies, and do it today, but do it as practically as you can do it. You're going to have to use, computers are going to have to be used at some point, but do most of it as practically as you can do it. You would sell a zillion tickets, because the biggest problem with the Clash of the Titans remakes and everything, it was just too much cartoony special effects and not enough just real gritty story. There's a real gritty story here. It's a journey, an epic journey. You feel it. They were actually on a boat in the water. They were also on sets, but it's all done incredibly well. I really enjoyed 1963's Jason and the Argonauts. I really like the extras that Via Vision has put on this Blu-ray edition. And don't worry about all three of these said Region B on the back of their Region Free. They played My Player, no problem at all. So check it out. If you're a fan of the classics, this is one of Ray Harryhausen's best. All of these movies have been released in collections and stuff in the United States, but a lot of them didn't have all of these extras. Some of them did. Some of these extras are on certain things and not other things. And anyway, to get them now with the art cards and the hard boxes with the lenticular covers, it's just a great presentation of these three on the shelf, because they're kind of works of art in their own way. So anyway, check out Jason and the Argonauts. It's available now from import stores. You can find it in the U.S. Via Vision is an Australian company, by the way. But I found it in the U.S. for a very reasonable price and picked up all three. Scott, I'm ROCKFILE. More podcasts are on the way. Please like, share, and subscribe, and have a spectacular day.